guys, it is time for a book review. I just finished this book thanks to part of my time at camp. I spent reading it, but I was mostly done with it before we got there. But I wanted to share about this book with you. I have mixed feelings about this book, and I will explain why. It is Broken Harbor by Tana French, and this is what it looks like. I saw this at Goodwill, and just the name of it, just the binding on the book, like the picture with the house here, and the name Broken Harbor, for whatever reason, like drew me in. And then when I read the jacket of the book, I was like, okay, that sounds totally like my kind of book, right? So I'm going to read to you the blurb, if you will, about what the book is about, and then kind of get into it a little bit with you about what I thought of it, why I feel mixed emotions about the book, that kind of thing. So this is from this little first part that I'm going to read to you is from the point of view of the lead detective on the case, okay? Here's what I'm trying to tell you. This case should have gone like clockwork. It should have ended up in the textbooks as a shining example of how to get everything right. By every rule in the book, this should have been a dream case. Mick Scorcher Kennedy, the brash cop last seen in Tana French's New York Times bestseller Faithful Place, which now kind of makes me want to read that, plays by the book and plays hard. That's what made him the Murder Squad's top detective, and that's what puts the biggest case of the year into his hands. On one of the half-built, half-abandoned luxury developments that litter Ireland, Patrick Spain and his 2 young children are dead. His wife Jenny is in intensive care. At first, Scorcher and his rookie partner Richie think it's going to be an easy solve, but too many small things can't be explained. The half-dozen baby monitors, their cameras pointing at holes smashed in the Spain's walls, the files erased from the Spain's computer, the story Jenny told her sister about a shadowy intruder who was slipping past all the locks. And this neighborhood once called Broken Harbor holds memories for Scorcher. Seeing the case on the news sends his sister Dina off the rails again, and she's resurrecting something that Scorcher thought he had tightly under control. What happened to their family one summer at Broken Harbor back when they were children. With her signature blend of police procedural and psychological thriller, French's new novel goes full throttle with a heinous crime, creating her most complex detective character and her best book yet. Okay, so, in case you didn't catch that, I'm sure you did. The detective, Detective Kennedy, he's got a rookie cop that is doing this case with him. It's like the biggest case of the year. He has, in the past, kind of had a case that didn't quite go right, so he feels like this is like his chance to redeem himself. And it seems pretty like cut and dry at first, like what, who did it, what's going on. But then there's all these extra little elements that play into it that are strange and just don't seem to have explanation. And they bring in experts for these different types of things, and like they can't figure it out. And then they find like this, they find some different things that maybe point to somebody else, but then there's things that don't make sense that it would be that person. And then it's just, I mean, oh my gosh, it is so intricate and like intertwined, the different elements and how they come together at the end, like you don't expect. I think this book is a really good book. I think it's a really good book. It's got everything I want in like a mystery thriller, crime, suspense, that kind of book. So I think the author is awesome. Like the way she writes, I think is awesome. I hate the swearing that's in it. That part bugs me kind of, but if you know me, you also know that I'm not big on like a lot of swearing or like sexual type things in books. That does not fly with me really. So that part I could have done without, but aside from that, the part where I feel conflicted a little bit about this book is, and it's something that would be very triggering to certain people. So I think that's a lot of what it is too. there are children involved in this story who are murdered. And it's some of the detail that the author gives. While I appreciate her attention to detail, I guess, or her imagery kind of thing, when it comes to the stuff with the kids, like, that is very bothersome to me. And so I can only imagine how it would affect other people. Like, I can see why people wouldn't want to read a book like this. So if you are someone who, like, if something about children like that would trigger something with you, do not read this book, please. Like, you would not want to read this. Now, it seems weird to say, oh, but I do want to read a book like this. Or, oh, you might want to read a book like this. Like, I'm not saying it's like something wrong with you if you read a book like this after knowing that that's part of it. I'm just saying that I know some people that would be something that they would not want to read. So just be aware of that if otherwise the story sounds like something you would want to read. Because I also really appreciate the elements of this, veteran detective, and now he's got this rookie working with him, and in a way he's like, I'm going to show him how this is done, but also in a way realizing he might have some things he can learn from this rookie. I love that this rookie police officer is not willing to just go right along with whatever, Detective Kennedy says, because he's thinking for himself and thinking through this and, going through the crime himself. And so there's very cool interactions between the two of them. And how it helps you to see that no matter what your position is, you can always learn something from someone else. You're never above anyone else, no matter what it is. If it's in a job or anything in life, there's always something you can learn from other people. Like, you don't know it all, kind of thing. And so I think that's really cool. And then also the elements of Detective Kennedy's childhood that are brought back into view because of where this case takes place. Because it was a place where basically his mom had depression problems when he was a child, and their family hid it from the outside world. His sisters, he had two sisters, and his dad would take care of their mom and wife when she would go through these major depression bouts where she would be in bed for days and unable to function, and they would just make excuses for why she wasn't out and about or whatever the situation was, and so instead of getting her help, they just hid it. And Broken Harbor, which ends up being changed, the name ends up being changed to Bryanstown, where this family's murder took place. When it was Broken Harbor, was a place that their family would vacation every year. And it was during that time his mom was always the happiest that he ever saw her. And he talks about seeing her sitting on his dad's lap and them just being cuddly together and her being so happy and things like that. And but something very tragic happens there. And so that place holds that for him, even though he's thinking in his mind, like, I'm past that has nothing to do with this case or the way I'm viewing things. But realizing that you can't escape stuff like that from your past does play a role, in the rest of your life. And while you can, work your way through things and get past things to a certain extent, there are some elements that are always going to be with you. And so he's kind of being blind to that, and his youngest sister is kind of pointing it out to him. And it's same with her. She has severe mental problems, and obviously it's like a hereditary issue, and even though he knows it, it's the same thing. They don't get help for her when she goes through these things. He and his other sister take care of her and keep her safe until she's through the bout of what she's dealing with. And so it's never quite dealt with, and she kind of is pointing out, like, I have this problem kind of thing. And so it's just, there are a lot of very interesting elements throughout this book. She really does a really cool weaving of elements through the story, but definitely the part with the children would be something that I would caution people about, in case that is something that you absolutely would not want to read. So I just wanted to make sure that was very clear. I would never want to recommend something to someone that could be, like, very upsetting to them, So Just so you know that. Obviously, you know, when I'm reading suspense, thriller, crime, you know, murder type books, there's murder involved. But typically you don't really see things with kids or like some of the imagery that she puts into it. So I just wanted to make you aware of that so no one can get mad at me. Please don't get mad at me. I do these book reviews to help you decide if you want to read a book or not. But aside from that, I think this book is incredible. Like, I think the writer did such a good job. So Tana French, Broken Harbor. This is what it looks like. And I mean, it's a hefty book. It's a good size book right here. In fact, let me see. How many pages do we have? What are we working with? 450 pages. So yeah, it's so good though. It really is good. But I did kind of like you know, like cringe about some of the things with the children. So just be aware of that. But other than that, I think it's an awesome book. And I think if you like these types of books, you will really enjoy reading it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you've read this book, please let me know down below and what you thought of it without spoiling it for other people. And or if you think you're going to read this book, let me know. And I just thank you guys so much for being here and listening to me blabber. And I hope you enjoyed this book review. I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.